Hello there, welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you are new here, I am a part-time reseller that goes out to estate sales, yard sales, thrift shops to try to find things to flip for a profit on eBay. This is Ching number 22. This is for the week of January 26th. I will say that this was the lowest week that I've had since probably before Thanksgiving, as far as not only like the quantity of things that I sold, but also my profits. That being said, I am a part-time reseller, so I don't get too bent out of shape when I have a low week because fortunately for me, this is not my sole source of income. That also being said, it helps me understand, as this is like my first time going through a second year of reselling in January, to understand like some of the peaks and valleys. But I've watched a lot of other YouTubers and I've seen some of the same things. Like what I experienced this week was I had a day where I sold one thing, and then I had another day where I sold two things. And then like the end of the week really popped off for me on like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that's really what kind of clinched the week as an okay week as opposed to where I had started off. I was very worried on Wednesday that I was only going to sell like 10 things last week. But all in all, I had 26 orders. Some of them were multi-quantity orders, and I'll go over that. My gross sales were only $694, and so that's all in. Sale price was $509. Purchase price of everything was $93, and so I profited $324.50 for the week of January 26th, which is perfectly fine. I've only been out thrifting once in the last 2 weeks. Because of some things going on at home. And so I'm happy with the results of that week. Minimum profit, I had something that I let go to get out of the house for $1.04 in profit. And then I had something that I was able to profit $33.28 on. Didn't have any real bangers this week, but I had lots of good solid sales in that bread and butter area. So my average profit per item was $12.48. I had something that sold same day, and then I had something that sold that had been listed for 267 days. So on average, 81 days, which to me, 100% sell through there. We'll go ahead and get started, and then I'll go over kind of the store allocation and genre at the end. First thing that sold was a vintage game lot, like cartridge of Atari things. I have no way of testing these. This was something that I didn't know what it was. Nothing was labeled. And so a buyer offered $10, and I was happy to find those to a home of somebody who could use them. I picked these up on Whatnot back in October. So I have $0 into this. I made profit of $7.29, and they sold the same day I listed it. Next up is this new Amigo Hallie Galley game. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but it sold for $13.95. I had $0 into it because this was on behalf of the charity that I sell for sometimes, and so they will be getting $13 from me in profit, and that sold after 127 days. Next up is this set of vintage Y2K MIA, like they were a chunky heel loafer. I picked these up at Goodwill recently in the past few weeks. I paid $7.17 for them. They sold for $49, and so I profited $33.28 in just 3 days. Next item is this Knitworks girls dress. This came out of my ThredUp Kids Rescue box. I think I mentioned in my last video that I've been picking a couple things out of there every week to try to list that were not picked up or sold at Once Upon a Child. And so I have $1 into this. It sold for $9, and so I made $4.72, but it did sell within 6 days of me listing it. Next item is this vintage 1989 Wallace and Gromit beanbag plush. I paid $1 for this, $1.30 for this at an estate sale back in December. It sold for $29, and so I made $23.35 after 40 days. Next item is something I picked up from the Plato's Closet clearance sale. This set of shoes was actually not on sale, but it was still a good price, so I went ahead and snagged them. This is a pair of Nayot Mary Jane suede sandals. I paid $9 for these, and then they sold for $30, so I profited $16.49 in just a day. So I'll take that all day, every day. Next item is a Disney's Alice in Wonderland teacup, mug, coffee cup. It was really cool because it was a color changer. I got this from cleaning out my own mugs in my house. I have way too many, so I pulled it and listed it. So I have 0 into it. It sold for $10, and so I profited $7.68 after just 20 days. Next item is a pair of men's Chaco sandals. I bought these at an estate sale back in October for $4. They sold for $25, so I made $16.82 after 114 days. Next item is this Athleta Breezy wrap top. It was new with tags, so I did pay up for it. I paid $10.79 for this at Goodwill back in December. It sold for $23.16, so I made $8.14 in just 41 days, but it was super easy. I didn't have to worry about it because it was new, all that good stuff. Next up is a vintage red and brown like fabric bag that came from Greece. I paid $3 for this as an estate sale back in November. This was when the sales were not coming in, so I was accepting lower offers than I normally would. It sold for $15.95, and so I made $9.55 after 77 days. Here's another one that I accepted a lower offer on. This is a Laura Ashley sham. I only had one of them. I did pay $2 for this at Goodwill back in September, so when somebody offered me $5, I was like, bye Felicia, and I made $1.04 after 141 days. Next item is this lug crossbody. I picked this up at an estate sale back in November for $4, and so it sold for $21.60, and I made $16.29 after 56 days. The next item is a pair of silver tone turquoise clip-on earrings. It was turquoise colored. I don't believe they were real turquoises. I picked these up at an auction in a large jewelry lot back in June. I don't have anything left into that lot, so everything is pure profit. So when I got an offer for $11.12, I took that and I made $9.14 after 202 days. Those of you getting into selling jewelry, they have a massively long tail on them. Good news, it doesn't take up a lot of space. And if you can get it for the right price, it's worth it just to list it and sit on it. And when it goes, it goes. So I do still pick up jewelry when it makes sense to me from a buy price. Next thing that sold was a pair of Brooks Men's Ghost Max shoes. I did pay $13.56 for these at Goodwill earlier in January. They sold for $32, and I made $13.57 after 3 days. Once again, my sales were slow, and so I was accepting some offers to try to get things moving. Next item is a set of 6 Brahms, Oneida Brahms teaspoons. I picked these up at City Thrift. I had a huge sale of Oneida Brahms a few weeks ago. This was some of the extras that I couldn't make full lots out of. So I sold 6 of these for $24. I had $2.07 into them, so I made $17.55 after just a day of it being listed. Next item is this new with tags Takaya. It was a water bottle. I picked up 2 of these at a yard sale back in September for $1 a piece. This first one sold for $18.90, so I made $14.73. It did take 128 days to sell. Easy listing, easy profit, easy storage, easy shipping. I'll take it. Next up is a mug that I picked up at Goodwill earlier this month as well. I did pay $2 for it. Honestly, I just kind of accidentally forgot that it was in my cart. And so when I was checking out, I was like, I guess I'm getting this. It sold for $10, so I made $5.89, and it only took a day to sell. So I'm okay with that. Next item is a Curious George snow globe. I picked this up at an estate sale like back in March of last year. I've learned a lot since then. I paid $3.75 for it. So when somebody offered me $8.29, I said goodbye. I made $2.23 on it after 252 days. Next up is an ornament. This is a Silvestri ornament. It was really super cute. I picked it up at an estate sale back in October for $2. It sold after Christmas for $16, and I didn't really want to sit on it for another year, so I accepted that offer, and I made $12.79 after 56 days. Next item is this Arkansas Razorbacks Nike Golf pullover. I paid $4.50 for this at Goodwill back in December. It sold for $21.75, and so I made $13.80 after 41 days. Next up is a set of Disney Pixar cars. I bought a huge bag of these from the local antique mall back in December. I saw a couple of them in there, like Miss Frizzle and a few others that I knew were worth enough to cover the big bag on its own. So I only have about $3 into this set of 9 cars. It sold for $14, and so I made $8.48 after just 13 days of it being listed. Next up, on things I wouldn't pick up again. This was 4, but really 5 vintage Anchor Hocking tartan. They were really cute blue cups. I had $6 into all of them. They sold for $29, but I accidentally underestimated the shipping, and so I only made $12.26 on this after 46 days. Not worth it. If you're able to get them for basically nothing, I think it may be worth it, but a $6 buy-in, it didn't make me the profit that I was looking for with the extra effort that had to take to ship it and make sure they didn't break. Next up is some replacement blades for a NutriBullet. I bought a big bag of the NutriBullet, all of the cups, the pieces, the parts, back in May of last year at Goodwill. I think this is the last little bit that I have left, so I have nothing into it. Buyer offered 10. I said okay, and so I made $7.23 after 256 days. Another long tail item. This was a Granny Square Afghan that I picked up at an estate sale for $5 last March. Hung around way too long, so I had it on sale. It sold for $15.84, so I still made $8.73 after 267 days. It's gone. I'm happy. All good. Last few things that sold. I have this Tory Burch crossbody. It is missing the strap, and I did disclose that, but I paid $6.25 for this at Goodwill back a couple of weeks ago. It's already sold for $45, and so I made $32.41 after it just 4 days of it being listed. And then last but not least is this adorable Boo Boo teddy bear. It's from Applause. I picked this up at an estate sale for $1.33 back in July. And it sold for $11.90 after 198 days. So profits of about $325 on 26 different orders. I'm okay with it. I'm happy with the results, and this week is already shaping up to be a better week. As far as where I bought things from and the profit that I was able to get, Goodwill still coming in strong with 39% of my profit. Whatnot at 2%, online auctions at 3%. The other big chunk this week was estate sales at 30%, and then other being like consignment, ThredUp, and like City Thrift, etc., contributed for about 23%. As far as genres, clothing and accessories and shoes really kind of dominated this week at 54%. I had household goods of 27% and then toys of about 20%. So household goods, I do include like kitchen and decor and like the Christmas stuff in there. So clothing and shoes and accessories coming in strong. For not ever planning on selling that, it really is a core part of my reselling business. As an everything seller, I don't think that I experience some of the same up and downs maybe throughout the year as some niche sellers do, but also there's a lot to be said for niching down and focusing on one or two things that you know really, really well. So that's not me saying you should or shouldn't. It's just me saying I do it this way, and it works for me. So let me know how your sales have been in at the end of January. Did you see kind of the same slowdown that last week of January? What was your favorite thing that you saw that we sold this week? And do you niche down? Are you a niche seller or are you kind of an everything seller? I appreciate you coming by. Check out some of my other Ching videos linked here in the video, as well as my most recent shop with me, where you'll see some good pickups that I've had recently at the Goodwill that I'm looking. One of them is already sold, spoiler alert, that I already made really good profit on. So thanks for coming back. If you're new here, hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.